Twice. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us tonight for our Leadership Summit Development from Voyage Consulting and Business Development. Before we roll out tonight's segment, I'd like for everyone to join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone can please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to introduce to you the President and CEO of Voyage Consulting, Darlene Blanco.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everyone. Wow, I'm so excited to be here tonight. We have a lot of great activities ready for this evening. Super excited to introduce you to our Leadership Summit. And this Leadership Summit is going to encompass a couple of different things that we've been working on the Voyage team. All some really great programming. I'm excited to roll out, but not without the support of my amazing teammates. So really excited. I want to shout out our cameraman in the back, Christopher Velazquez. Thank you, Christopher. I want to shout out Ryan Blanco, our MC for the night, helping us go pick up and everything. Thank you, Ryan. Vanessa, always joining us and supporting. And if you need to connect with us, Vanessa is the lady who will connect you with us. She is our admin, and she is super excited to help support you connect with us. So without further ado, I'm going to kick off our program this evening. Very excited. We've been doing a series of articles. We've been looking at some of the different things about facets of leadership that we want to be able to unpack, and we focus on a couple of different areas. So for this evening, our session is going to be dedicated on those articles we've been talking about, in thinking about how we advocate for ourselves and thinking about how we connect with others, and then wrapping it up because in order to be a great leader, to lead winning teams. So that is going to be our program for this evening. Without further ado, I want to introduce the Voyage Chief Operating Officer, Margarita Estrada, who has an amazing segment lined up for us tonight. If you all read the articles, you all know, if you zoomed in, you've heard us talk about how important it is to be an advocate for yourself. Margarita Estrada, come on up. Teach us what you have in your pocket about leadership. Thank you.
Good evening to everybody. I am so excited to be here. Oh, and I love this applause. This is a great beginning. So I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to be a part of Voyage Consulting and Business Solutions because of the value that we bring to the public, both online and in person. We've gotten a huge audience online. People are watching us on Central, Mountain, and Pacific. It's amazing what is beginning to happen. First, we started with an audience of 12 to 15, then an hour later it becomes 20 to 30, and now we're up to 55 to 70. It's been crazy. So we are so excited. So let's begin with leadership from the inside, right? Because leadership begins internally. In order to be able to lead other people, you need to lead yourself first. And those are the words of John Maxwell. Not exactly, but just about. So we're going to learn about advocating for ourselves as leaders, as speakers, and as individuals. So last summer, my friend Kareem contacted me and she says, Margarita, my organization is holding a picnic, 300 to 500 people, and we need a speaker who is dynamic, who's a connector, and who knows the pharmaceutical industry inside and out. And I want to lie to you, I was thinking about myself in that position. But point number 3 took me out of the picture. Knows the pharmaceutical industry inside and out. That's not me. So I told her that I would get back to her. I looked through my list of speakers, and none of them are experts in the pharmaceutical industry. However, as I'm driving home, I get this feeling, and I said, okay, let me contact her the next day. The next morning, I go on LinkedIn, and I sent her an email, and I said, Kareem, I know the person that is supposed to speak at that engagement. She tells me who. I said, you. I nominate you. waiting for her to respond 10, 15, 30 minutes. I said, okay, I think she's giving up on herself. Finally, she connects with me again. She says, Margarita, I can't do it. I can't do it. They want somebody from the outside. I said, but why should they get somebody from the outside when you're the expert? You've worked in that company for a long time. So the question is, why couldn't she see herself in that role? Right? Why couldn't she advocate for herself? So we're going to be looking into this. So we will cover barriers to self-advocacy, the self-advocacy mindset, and what you can do today. So let's look at the barriers to self-advocacy. First, fear of other people's opinion. How many of you are guilty of this? I know I am all the time. We're always looking for other people's opinion. And that's fine in certain circumstances. I wanted to teach you how to distinguish between opinions that should be internalized and opinions that should be kicked to the curb. If someone gives you an opinion and it makes you feel empowered, it makes you feel engaged, and it makes you feel educated and enlightened, those are the opinions that you listen to. But if it makes you feel deflated, it makes you feel defeated, it makes you feel devalued, those are the opinions that need to be kicked to the curb. So I'm giving you the guide, and your internal compass will tell you that. Okay. Next, fear of others' disapproval. This one is a kicker. And this one begins from infancy. It begins with your family tree, right? We always want to be approved by our parents, by our elder siblings, by our managers, but does stats really say something about who we are? Really? So you have to start thinking in terms of, do I really need their approval? Sometimes you have to be a little crazy, okay? Einstein said it best. The most craziest people are the ones that come up with the best inventions because they don't pay attention to convention. They pay attention to the inner compass. Next, fear of others' backlash. This one is the kicker of them all. Did you know that in a survey by Indeed.com done in March of 2022, right after the pandemic, out of 4,100 respondents, 75% of them said that the fear of backlash is the reason why they do not advocate for themselves. 45% of those 75 were women. Interesting fact, right? Because women are used to always being, oh, you have to be demure, you have to hold back, you have to be humble. It's time to stop the humble pie, okay? Because there's certain times that the humble pie does not work, and you have to stand up. So, we have to adapt the self-advocacy mindset. Now, my friend Karine was going through all of those issues before, because she said, Margarita, I don't know, what if people don't like me? What if I go for this position and people say, well, who do you think you are? What makes you think that you can speak at that gig in front of 300 to 500 people? All you're spoken to is in front of 20 to 30 people. Well, 20 to 30 people multiplied by a lot. They're all your friends. What's the problem? All those people they're going to be your friends. So make believe that they're all your friends and that they're there to help you and to add value to your life. So let's look at the self-advocacy mindset and what it can do for you. All right. First, I know who I am, I know what I can offer, and I know what I'm worth. You notice that they all start with I know. And the reason why those steps start with I know is because that's your inner compass. It's when you feel centered. It's when you feel you're in the right place at the right time, and nothing can stop you. That knowing is what will take you from here to there, right? So let's look at step number 1. I know who I am. There is a fight within us between the created me and the authentic me. The created me is the one that was put together by your parents, your sibling, your neighborhood, your schools, your religious and political institutions. In other words, that's the one that taught you how to do everything that they want you to do. But what happens? You start losing your authenticity because your authentic me is calling you to do something that you have never done before. Something different, something that will add value to your life. The more you pay attention to the creative me, you're in deep doo-doo. I hate to tell you. because when you pay attention to the creative me, it'll tell you, you can't do this. Who do you think you are to feel so big? And to that I say, who do you think you are not to think big? Who do you think you are that you can't add value to anyone? Who do you think you are not to bring your sense of self to the world where you can change it? Right? So when I spoke to Kareem, I said, so what's going on inside? Why is it that you are hesitant about speaking at that gig? She says, Margarita, I'm nervous. I've spoken in front of other people, but these are my coworkers. I'm afraid that it will mess up my future opportunities. So I asked her, look, you have to start thinking differently. Start paying attention to that creative me, right? All right, next, I know what I can offer. So when you go to your boss, and you're going to present what you can do for them, you have to know what you can offer. You just can't say, oh, I want to speak at that gig, but why? You have to know what you can offer. So I asked Kareem to answer this question. I am qualified because, and all of you here that are present have to start thinking about this question. Why are you qualified? She responds back and she tells me, I am qualified because I've worked in this company over 15 years. I know the pharmaceutical industry. I know all the latest medications, those that have been successful, those that have not been successful. So I told her, okay, so what else? What else? I had her thinking. So I told her, so what's the proof? What is the proof? Whenever you go to talk to a manager, you have to have proof that you can do this. So I asked her, do you have something written in email that says the date, the time, your contribution, and the return on investment, whether it's personal or professional? So she only found one. I said, that's all you need. All you need is one, right? What will you increase as a result of that talk? And that is a very important question to answer. What will you increase? She says, Margarita, this is easy. She says, I'm going to increase motivation because heaven knows my team needs it. And I'm the one to do it because I am dynamic. She started to feel more confident in herself. So I said, great. Next week, y'all too, I know what I'm worth. And folks, this is the hardest, right? Nobody likes to talk about money. But knowing what you're worth, particularly in race time, you better know what you're worth. Mario knows her well. You better know what you're worth because I had an experience with one of my friends that had been working in a company for a long time. And she decides that she's going to leave. Guess what? She found out that they were offering double the money for her former position after she left, right? So all of those years that she wasted staying in the same job, not knowing what she was worth. So just remember, know what you are worth. So I asked her to answer the sentence. I believe that the value I bring to you is knowing the value that you bring to your organization, or even, I remember as a teenager, I was bargaining with my parents all the time. I want to stay out an extra hour. Well, why do you want to stay out an extra hour? Well, because I'm an A student and I feel that I deserve to stay out the extra hour. She said, so my mother would say, okay, what are you willing to do? She said, I told her, okay, I'll sweep the hallway and I'll polish the banister going down the stairs. She said, okay, good enough. I did. And then she would come up with, why is it that mothers do that all the time? They come up with other stuff for you to do so you don't get out of the house. And it happens all the time. But anyway, so I asked Kareem, what is the value that you're bringing? And she says, the value that I bring is myself. Isn't that interesting? Going through this process with her made her realize that the value that she brings is her sense of loyalty to the company, the fact that she was a motivator, the fact that she built teams, the fact that the return on investment was so huge, and her input for her job, right? So, this is her victory lap. So that week on Friday, she says, "Hi, Margarita. I hope you're having a terrific Thursday. Thank you for encouraging me to advocate for myself. The CEO of my company approached me about starting a mentorship program for public speaking for our subject matter experts. I'm so excited. So do you see what she would have missed if she would have advocated for herself? Did she get to speak at that gig? The answer is no. She got something better. She got a new position and she got a promotion on top of that. You see what happens? Sometimes your managers don't even realize your value because you don't make them know it. You have to make yourself known. You have to make people feel that, hey, I'm here. If you didn't know it, I did this, and this, and this is why I deserve this position. Right? If there's the one thing that you can ask yourself today is, what is my authentic self telling me to do? What is your authentic self telling me to do? And then follow it. It's never wrong. Remember the self-advocacy mindset. I know who I am. I know what I can offer. And I know what I'm worth. And as my friend Roberto Rivera always says, your spirit was always meant to soar. Passion and love are your rocket fuel. Make sure that the world knows your rocket fuel. They know your contribution. They know your value. If you have to scream it to the rafters, it's okay. Get advocates, people to advocate for you, to connect you with those bosses that you need to speak to. Thank you for your time.
That was absolutely fantastic, leaders. We gotta give Margarita another hand. Yeah. Advocate for yourself. This is the absolute most important thing. Before you can kind of do anything else, you need to be confident. You need to be able to advocate for yourself. How can you advocate for others if you don't believe in your own personal brand, your own story, and all the great work that you're putting out into the space? So, that's step one. Now we're going to learn, now that we've advocated for ourselves and now that we have that confidence, how can we connect with others? So, without further ado, we're going to bring up Mario Lewis, Voyage's Chief Financial Officer, who's going to share his talk. Oh,
I will share my talk.
yes.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Darlene. It is my- It is my pleasure to be here to talk to you about leadership. So I'm going to ask you, and thank you, Darlene, for the opportunity to speak today. I'm going to ask you an important question. What kind of leader are you? And what kind of leader do you want to become? Earlier in my career, I joined the Federal Reserve Bank of New York in a rotation program. During my second rotation, I spent 3 months on the credit risk team doing bank examinations across the districts in New York and New Jersey. And I had a fabulous time. I had positive reviews from my managers. I got along well with my coworkers. I learned a tremendous amount. That was the group for me. Yet, there was one problem. It was the department manager. While she was well regarded due to her technical expertise, she was famous in the field of credit risk management. She had a bad reputation as a people leader. So, in the last week of my rotation, I reached out to the executive assistant, who I became good friends with, just to get a few moments on the director's calendar so that I could leave a great final last impression. So the executive assistant called me over,
She was free for a moment. I knocked on that leader's door. Just because I'm so excited. I had a great time on the department. I enjoyed my work. I want to make this a permanent assignment. She didn't even barely looked up from her desk. She didn't crack a smile. She didn't welcome me into her office. She basically told me, you should connect with the executive assistant if you're interested in scheduling time on my calendar, if you're so interested. Then she put her head back down and continued doing whatever she was doing. So I ask you, how would you feel in that situation? Have you ever encountered a situation like that from a manager? Would you have gone back to schedule time for a meeting, even if it was your first choice? That experience left a profound impact on me and how I want to be perceived as a leader. So today, we're going to talk about how to connect so that you can lead and become a more powerful and more impactful leader. And I know we've always talked about connection in terms of public speaking and how to connect with the audience, but I believe it is equally as important. Actually, strike that. It is even more important to connect as a leader. So, I love this article in the Connect to Lead. This is from a 2013 article in the Harvard Business Review by Amy Cuddy, Matt Kohut, and Jeff Niffinger. And they say very clearly, the best way to develop influence, especially as a leader, is to combine warmth and competence. I think many of you know Amy Cuddy. She was the one with the viral TED Talk that your body language shapes who you are. It's the second most viewed TED Talk in the world with over 70 million viewers. She's the one who made the power pose popular. But in their research, they talk about competence and warmth. Competence and warmth. And we're going to explain those because we're going to use that to describe leadership traits. First, competence. What do you think about when you think of somebody who has competence and they're competent? Just think briefly for a moment. Do these words come to mind? Skilled, technically proficient, knowledgeable. These are the skills that you want to demonstrate when you are a subject matter expert. This is when you are called upon to solve complex, difficult problems. These are the types of skills that I had to develop. I had to first develop competence so that I could be given the opportunity to lead. So when you're an individual contributor, this is where you focus your time. Now let's think about warmth. What are the traits and characteristics that you think about with warmth? Do these come to mind? Empathetic, thoughtful, considerate, trustworthy. These are the skills for the people you want to work with and you want to work for. These are people-oriented. These are the types of skills that I had to learn after I was given the opportunity to lead and then had to really encounter managing a team. These talk about the soft skills that you have to develop. So, back to the research. The research indicates that the way people perceive your warmth and your competence has a direct internal feeling on how they feel about you. And therefore, it has a direct bearing on your ability to influence any situation that you encounter when you're working. And those two combined really impact your ability to lead. Like any researcher, they develop a matrix. The matrix has warmth on one side and competence, high, medium, and low. And with that, we're going to explore a number of leadership traits that you have to think about when you combine warmth and competence. First, when you have a low level of warmth, it doesn't even matter how competent you are. This is a toxic environment because there is no foundation of trust. There's often infighting across the team when the leader has a low level of competence or low level of warmth. Next, there's a high incidence of resentment, fear, contempt. Again, as I say, this is a toxic environment. When I talk about that credit risk group that I was talking about earlier, due to the low warmth of the leadership, they had years and years of problems of toxic environment, low productivity, poor morale, high turnover. That is what happens when there's low warmth. What about moderate warmth? Even if there is high competence, the results can be mixed. What happens is that in the short term, people will go along with you. But in the long term, you won't earn their support. You won't get their full engagement. There's a new term when people use, you've heard the term quiet quit? This is when people quiet quit. Physically, they show up to work, but mentally, they're not there. They're not engaged. And that is just as serious a problem. So what happens when you have high warmth and a leader with high competence? This is the holy grail of leadership. This is the circle where I want to and aspire to be. Because that is where you have true and active engagement from the teams that you are working with and support. Next, you also have established a strong foundation of trust where people believe in each other and they believe in the leadership. And as a result, you have a high ability to influence situations and outcomes that you encounter, no matter how challenging across the work. This is where the leader has a strong reputation across the firm and is well respected and admired by their colleagues. Again, this is where you want to be, the pinnacle, the holy grail of leadership. So my key takeaways are for you are this. And I learned this much later in my career, unfortunately. Where as an individual contributor, I put competence first. And it really undermined my ability to learn to become a good leader. But I learned fast, I picked up eventually. Next, if you want to connect, you have to prioritize warmth as a leader. There's no way around it. Because leadership is a people game, so you have to prioritize warmth. And therefore, in order to develop warmth, you must focus on these soft skills in order to develop. So how do you project warmth? And this is something I talk about when I deliver my presentations on the full range of the Connect framework. And these are broken into two dimensions. First, the verbal communications. Choose your words carefully. That's where I talk about optimizing your words. Use kind words that build and empower your teams to support one another. Because I believe that as a leader, you set the precedent for how people treat each other within your organization. Use kind words to your team because they look to you for guidance and leadership. Validate people's feelings. Being a leader means that you're going to encounter challenging situations. You're going to encounter difficult moments where companies downsize, they face different problems. Acknowledge the big elephant in the room. Acknowledge people's feelings. Validate who they are. Next, let's think about some of the nonverbals. Again, when I said earlier that you set the tone for how people communicate within your organization. Therefore, it's important that you always communicate with the right tone. No matter how frustrated or how difficult the scenario, communicating with the right tone sets the precedent for how the organization engages. I always throw this in. Be authentic when you engage. Smile and mean it. I believe smiling and interacting that way is self-reinforcing. Smiling makes people happy, and being happy makes people smile. Therefore, I'll leave you with a final thought. When it came to that manager, I never went back and put time on her calendar. The following week, another senior manager within that organization reached out to me. He said that I heard you had done a great job in your rotation. I'd love to take you out for lunch in the bar tomorrow on the cafeteria. I accepted. I didn't have any really expectations out of it. But all of a sudden, he started talking about basketball. And I love basketball, and we connected over that. He talked about his family and his older kids. I talked about my family and my younger kids. And after 45 minutes, I developed a liking to him. He was a really connectable kind of guy. And then he offered me a position. He says, I have a credit first position on my team. I'd love for you to join our organization. Immediately, I accepted. Due to his high level of warmth, I connected with him, and he turned out to be one of the best managers I ever had. So my thought to you is that when I think about all the leaders who have shaped me into who I am, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So I offer to you, focus on developing the skills of warmth so that you can connect with people and you can connect with your teams, and it will make you a much more impactful leader. You have to connect so that you can lead. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mario.
I'd like to turn it over to Darlene.
Thank you. Oh, and there goes some Connect framework.
You always leave them with the connect framework.
Connect framework. Just so you know, it's for sale, so we have downloads available. We will be sharing our packets with you all, but that's like a little snapshot of what some of the Connect framework has inside of it. But we just heard a little snippet from Mario about all these amazing things that we're going to use to better engage with our teams in our leadership practices, the things that we need to integrate and infuse, because if we're leading teams, we want to be doing what? Leading winning teams. I don't know about any of you, but I know I don't want to be on the losing team. So how do we create winning teams? Yeah! So I'm the enthusiastic one who just can't wait to jump out of my chair for this one. And I'm the closer for today, but I wanted to make sure that we were honing everything all in a package that makes sense. So before you can even think about connecting and leading, we need to be advocating for ourselves. We need to be strengthening ourselves. We need to be positively encouraging our mindsets every morning, self-affirmations, talking about all the positive things around us, being grateful and being thankful, and identifying how else we're going to put positivity out into this world that we around. That is a big part of advocating for yourself and understanding how you can really build your confidence. Margarita, you shared so many wonderful takeaways. I like to shout them out because it's important for me every morning as well. I know who I am. I know what I offer. And I know what I'm worth. When you know all of those things, you are confident enough to get out there and start leading winning teams. But before you can lead a winning team, you have to build a winning team, or help cultivate a winning team, or help the losing team get on the right track. So lots of different scenarios, all within our leadership practice. So while we're identifying and honing in on our authentic selves, we want to make sure that that's exactly what we're projecting out. We're going to be connecting with people. We're going to be helping them get on the right footing, get on this fast train of like, let's do this. But how do we do it in a way that makes sense? Mario, you shared with us some really great points. And the thing that I want to resonate with me, that I want to repeat, because I love repeating what my colleagues share, because it is so impactful to me and my spirit and my leadership every day. What kind of leader are you? That's important. What kind of leader are you? So how am I going to connect? Mario said it beautifully. We need to be thinking about those that we are leading. Why? Because then we won't have followers. Because if you don't care about them, they don't want to be on your team. And you're not going to win. So we need to cultivate winning teams. And I got a couple of key things that I want to share with you all. I'm going to put my pages down. I have my face there. I don't have slides. I want all your attention with me. I'm really focused on audience engagement. We're all coming up and down the row and just really looking at all your beautiful faces. I want to connect and not use slides tonight. I'm not being lazy. I swear I have the whole The framework is available for download and purchase. So why are these things important? As a leader of winning teams, you know what I see on winning teams? I see trust. I see collaboration, and I see the ability for all the things of a winning team to function in a conflict environment. I see innovation happening. I see people feeding off of each other. I see all this innovation happening in this space. How is it happening? It's happening because trust and collaboration are working in partnership, and with leadership support, that is how trust and collaboration happens. If you don't have your leader's support, it's going to be very difficult to manage teams so that they're all working in conjunction with one another. When I look at a winning team, I look at like, well, who's on the bench? what are you bringing to the table? What do you bring to the table? It's like an Oprah thing. Like, what are you bringing to the table? Like,
Right.
we all have to bring something to the table. Here at Voyage, each and every one of us has a very unique spirit. We're all experts in our fields, and we all have one thing on our minds, and that is you. And this is why we're here bringing this beautiful work together. Our workshops are dedicated so that we can help you grow, how you can get to the next level in your leadership, in your career journey, or even thinking about things in a different way. We also have our entrepreneurial side where we have Ryan who gives us all of the encouragement and support from what does it look like in the entrepreneurial space, wearing a multiple leadership hat. So lots of different things that we get into when we're thinking leading, but when we're thinking leading teams, I also want to highlight conflict resolution, recruiting, and a development plan. These are the three key things. Now, my framework for leading winning teams encompasses about 12 different things. But if I was to take away the three key things that I can only focus on, those would be them. Conflict resolution, number one. Why? Because people in the office all have ideas. And when you're leading a winning team, you want everyone's ideas to come together. You don't want people to mute each other out, to talk over each other, to be disrespectful. What you want is for everyone to agree to disagree and to share differences of opinion. And then for the leader to have that voice that says, okay, well, we're having to make a decision. Everybody puts it aside and we're moving forward, and everybody supports. Everybody comes together. We shelf the bad idea or the idea that will come back later on when that other idea doesn't work. So I've seen that happen too, so you can laugh and be like, okay, you're getting it now, but you know what? This is what leading winning teams is about. You want to be able to give your folks the ability to feel comfortable and confident so they can sit around a table and they can kick ideas around, and not all the ideas are going to work. Some of them are going to be quirky, some of them are going to be a plug and play. But why is that important? We want to make sure that that's the environment that we're cultivating, because if people don't respect each other enough, then everything is mundane, everything is the same, and we cannot build what? We can't build a competitive advantage, we can't build resiliency, we can't build innovation, we can't do anything different, we can't think outside the box. Then we turn to our left and our right and we're looking at what our competitor is doing, and we're looking at our competitors for ideas. We should be looking within ourselves, within our organizations, cultivating relationships where the people can feed into each other. I say a lot quickly. There are key things I want to touch on quickly on growth, resiliency, and the competitive advantage. Why are these items important in the leadership practice? I can tell you right now, you're not going to be in business without any of these. So if you don't have growth, that means you're not keeping up with the times. That means someone else every year is going to a different competitor for business. So if you're not providing a service, if you're not fine-tuning your service, you're going to lose, you're not going to grow. If you're not building resiliency, if you're not making changes, if you're not being innovative enough, people are going to be looking to see, well, what's going on over here? I'm going to go check that out. And they're not going to look towards your brand. So not only do we want to make sure teams can get through conflict, teams are building and growing, and teams are building resiliency. These are key things for an organization to be able to sustain itself. Why is that important? All of us here went through COVID, right? We saw all of a sudden our regular world transitions quickly, and we pivoted into this virtual environment. In this virtual environment, the competitive landscape has been, holy wow! New businesses are coming in, they're taking over, old businesses are going out. What's happening to our brick and mortars? Lots of different changes that are happening. How are we keeping up with these times? How are our teams able to focus on being able to build when we don't know what's coming next, and how do we continue to keep a competitive advantage, build resiliency, and continue to grow? How do we create new products in this space? Well, if people aren't trusting each other and they're not bringing their authentic selves to work every day, and they're not being true to their personal brands, these teams are going to fall apart. They're not going to follow that leader. They're going to fall apart. And you look to your leader to help you, not because the leader has the answers. You look to the leader because you know the leader is going to support you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to get down into the grit with you. We're going to figure out what these answers are together. I'm a servant leader. That is the leadership principles that I stand for. In servant leadership, we break down the barriers. We trailblaze, and we make sure that our people can be put forward. And in order to do that, you have to be confident, so you have to be able to advocate for yourself, to advocate for your teams, to advocate for those that you know are worth more than maybe they don't see. Because how many of us have been in that space where you're like, what do you mean you're so great? Why don't you sit? Our job as a leader is to make sure that each and every one of those folks on the team, regardless of where they sit on the bench and what role they play, that they understand just how significant their work is to our end goals. And I talk a lot about leadership and a shared responsibility. Every time someone looks at me and says, oh, that's the boss or she's the leader, I cringe. I'm like, no, I'm your partner in this. I'm your partner in this. We're working on this together. I might have a higher title. I might be the one whose butt gets thrown in the frying pan when things don't work out. But I just want to say, no matter what, I'm there with you. We have to be a part of it together. That's how we engage. That's a leadership framework that is sensible, that works well. Servant leadership is a way that you can really bring the leaders to become leaders, to cultivate leaders, to be on your team, to all grow and to do wonderful things. So I want to close it up with, recruiting and development plans. So leaders, while we're out there and we're consciously looking for staff members and we're looking at the folks that we have on our teams, make a conscious effort to look at everyone from a different lens and to have an impactful conversation with them. Mario's talk earlier, he gave an example about why he felt uncomfortable to go back and put time on that leader's calendar. That said a lot to me. Because if you're leading an organization and people are scared to put time on the calendar, or maybe are just like, oh, I'm not sure, then what kind of leader are you? And that's important because when you're thinking about looking at your team, as you're gonna look out to build development plans, well, who is the talent on the bench? What skills do they have? What needs to be cultivated? What are we missing in the soup? Because at the end of the day, you need to have strength in all of these capacities, and one person cannot do it all. One person, as fabulous as you think you may be, cannot. You just can't. You just can't. You need a team, you need good people, and you need to support these good people. Everybody has to see themselves in this vision, in this shared goal, in this shared responsibility of how you will cultivate leadership together. This is how you build better development plans. You can say, oh, Sally needs additional help here. I can create some cross-mentoring. Maybe she should work with such and such, Mary from Department A, and that would be a great relationship. You put them together, and now guess what? Now they're both growing. They're teaching each other. Cross-training is happening, and barriers are breaking, and some of those silos that get created, right? Because we're so used to showing up to the workplace. One's go, oh, my department, that's not my job. Right, and one's going to the other department, but that's not my job. But at some point in the project plan, from the project manager standpoint, it all comes together, it's everybody's job. So let's make sure we're tying all of that in as we're looking at development planning, who needs support, before we start looking at exterior, who do we have to hire, build within. Margarita has said those words many times. Start with your people first, build them up first, then go out and bring in the talent that you need. I love leading winning teams because I love to win. I'm super competitive. I have a lot of energy. And if I am out in the field and we're rolling, we are winning. And so I invite everyone to really listen to what we're talking to you tonight. It's super important. Advocating yourself, connecting with others so that you can be powerful in leading winning teams. All of this content is available for download very soon. I'm really excited to package it all up. I gave you just a snippet. This is like a little tease because this is exactly what we want to be able to share with you is our leadership, how we're thinking, the things that we are working towards in our personal development here at Voyage. Not only are we helping to share our expertise with you, but we are also cultivating leaders within ourselves. Every day is a learning opportunity. I very much am a student, always reading, learning, looking at different articles, interviewing different people, watching different screenplays and role plays, connecting with my colleagues. Hey, what'd you think about this? What'd you think about that? These conversations are important, so be a part of Voyage. learn how to be a networker with us. Join our organization, lots of different things that you can get involved in the leadership space, because we need you to be a part of this conversation. And I'm gonna turn our commercial over to Margarita, who's really great at the commercial part of Voyage, to show us where you can follow us, where you can find us. She's a fantastic Chief Operating Officer and does some fantastic marketing for us. Thank you, Margarita.
It's time for a commercial.
Yes!
Join us at Voyage Consulting and Business Solutions. Our website is www.startyourvoyage.com. You can also connect with us on all the social media platforms, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. All use the handle at Start Your Voyage. Remember to join us every Thursday at 9 p.m. on Facebook Live. There, we talk about the different articles that we write on LinkedIn, and then we expand on them. So we welcome you to come online and share your thoughts. Put your comments about what you think about the work that we're putting out there, because it's valuable stuff. And we want to hear your opinion so that then we can help you. Thank you, Darlene, for allowing me this commercial break.
And I want to give a plug to Vanessa Robinson. Vanessa's really amazing, and she's such an influencer to me, and I really appreciate Vanessa so much. On another night, when she's feeling a little better, I'm going to have her share with you a little bit about her story, Good Enough, which really is the start of Voyage, and how we all started to come together, because you know what, Vanessa, we are good enough. So thank you. And I want to shout her out because it all starts with someone seeing you, someone seeing your value, someone seeing your purpose. You may not see it, and you may not see it. So now you're all tasked as leaders in this room. You're tasked with looking out and seeing, where is this talent and how can I help them cultivate it? We're all tasked with that, right? We have to pave the way. We have to find those new leaders. We have to help them. So thank you, Vanessa, for all the great work that you do and inspiring people every day. I also want to close it up and say shout out to my amazing family who's been so supportive of the Voyage journey. I really appreciate my amazing mom who is sitting in the room tonight. You know, I finally got her out. You know, every now and then I invite her to come to see the progress of what we're doing, and it's really been really special because we are onto some big things for 2025, and this is going to be so amazing. So all of you that are here, I appreciate you and thank you. Say thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you for making it out for tonight's Voyage Consulting and Business Solutions Leadership Summit. And we will be touching on our next journey. Thank you so much.